Are you ready to get into the fall holiday spirit with some crafting and baking? I hope so. I'm Chelsea with Positive Futures Dog Training and Behavior. If you're new to our channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to go over how you can make fresh, homemade pumpkin puree and how to store it and use it to spice up your dog's fall meals, make some treats, and even do a little enrichment. Let's take a look. To get started, you'll need to select your pumpkins. Use a small baking pumpkin, something labeled sugar pumpkin or pie pumpkin, as they will provide the best flavor. Wash the pumpkins with warm water and use a sponge if needed to get any excess dirt off. Using a sharp knife, cut through the pumpkin. If you find that the pumpkin is moving around too much, you can use a dish towel to help keep the pumpkin still. Rotate the pumpkin and make the same cut from the stem to the bottom. Don't try to cut through the stem, it's too tough. Finally, pull the two halves apart. With a spoon, you can now scoop out all of the pumpkin seeds and any stringy flesh on the inside. Place the pumpkin halves, cut side down, onto a baking sheet with parchment paper. As you get rid of all the trash, make sure you don't throw away the pumpkin seeds. You can easily separate them, wash them, dry them, and store them in the refrigerator for up to 3 days. That way, you can use them to roast your own snack. Yep. I'll be sure to link to one of my favorite recipes in the description below. Now, back to roasting pumpkins. Make sure that your oven is preheated at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Take the pumpkins and place them in the oven. Bake for about 45 to 60 minutes, or until the pumpkin can be easily pierced with a knife in several places. Allow the pumpkins to cool until you can safely handle the halves. Then, scoop out the soft flesh into a large bowl or food processor. Depending on how large the pumpkin is and how much you're making, you might need to do this in more than one batch. Process or blend until the consistency is smooth, like applesauce, about 3 to 5 minutes. And voila, you're finished. Now you get to use this fresh and healthy pumpkin puree to spice up your dog's meals. We can use it on top of kibble in a slow bowl to add a little variety and flavor. Because it's rich in antioxidants and is a low-calorie content, this is something easily that could be added on to meals during the fall. Your homemade and fresh pumpkin puree can also be used to stuff toys for the dogs. They can be given fresh, or you can stick them in the freezer for a little extra difficulty. Remember that the more frozen you put in, the harder it is for your dog. So if your dog is a beginner, just put 1 spoonful of pumpkin on top of the kibble. Fresh pumpkin puree is also perfect for licky mats. Spread a little on top. Feel free to add extras like plain Greek yogurt or peanut butter, and then give them to your dog for a little relaxation. Licking is a great way to help dogs decompress from stressful events. And since we have this delicious treat fresh, we might as well use it to make some treats for the dogs. Grab a silicone baking sheet or ice cube tray. Place a small piece of meat inside each container, and then add some fresh pumpkin puree on top. After we freeze them, we then have some great treats that we can use for special occasions, like asking our dogs to come when called from the backyard. Wondering what to do with all of those leftovers? Here's a few ideas. Pumpkin puree can be frozen and last about a year, or it can be refrigerated to last a week. You can also use the fresh pumpkin puree to make a good snack, like a pumpkin pie. You can also increase how long the pumpkin puree will last in your refrigerator by sterilizing some jars and boiling the pumpkin puree. Boil the lids in a medium pot for 4 to 5 minutes. After, drain the water and transfer the hot lids to a kitchen towel to dry. Preheat the oven to 215 degrees. Wash the jars with some warm soapy water and place them upside down in the oven on the rack. Dry them for 20 minutes or until they're completely dry. Remove hot jars with pot holders and put them upside down on a kitchen towel. Put the leftover pumpkin puree in a pot onto the stove and cook or boil for about 10 to 15 minutes. The puree will start boiling almost right away, but the way to know when it's really done is when the puree has big bubbles in it. After boiling, spoon the pumpkin puree into jars. Be sure to wipe the rim with a paper towel to make sure it's free of any puree, and tightly close each lid. By sterilizing the jars and boiling the pumpkin puree, we've removed additional bacteria, allowing this pumpkin puree to be jarred and stored in a refrigerator for up to 3 months. What are you waiting for? We all know our favorite part of fall is the introduction of pumpkin. Who can resist a pumpkin spice latte? So go ahead and spice up your dog's fall eating routine as well and give them some fresh, homemade, and healthy pumpkin puree treats. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We appreciate the support so that we can continue to bring all of this great content right to you. Happy fall!